Good morning. Good morning. All right. I want to get this guy done. I want to get Yeenoghu, whatever his name is. Let's actually record his name on here so I can look at it. It's Ye- Yeenoghu, Yeenoghu, or Yeenoghu. I don't know. We're gonna change this. Change his name here. Yeenoghu. Demon Lord of Knolls. Yeenoghu. I'm sure there's some fancy pronunciation for it, but that's what I'm doing. Okay. He is getting close. I think now I've only got one thing that has not been painted at all. One major piece. I got to do his tongue and his eyes, which are minor pieces, but they are key pieces to giving him some, you know, personality. You know, the things that start really calling out his expression in his face and all that stuff. But I don't know. Let's see. What color should I do his tongue? I don't want to do bright red. I'm thinking maybe a purple or a. I mean, all right. So it's already painted like a brick red. So I could put like something on there to just pull it towards another version of red. Um, let's see here. I'm getting close to that point where I'm going to be doing the shading and all that stuff, and that's going to be. I could go yellow. I thought about maybe just doing small sprays of yellow to try to make his eyes look like they're glowing. I don't know. You know, paint a dot of yellow and then spray it with like an airbrush to give it that little hue of. But it's such a small spot, and I am just not. What's the word? Not good at airbrushing. I mean, granted, it's like. Yeah, I don't know. Would that work even? He's got almost big enough eyes. I could almost put a pupil on his eyes. Alexa, turn on dynamic duo. Nope. Alexa, turn on dynamic duo. Alexa, turn off dining room light. I really don't know why she thinks that sounds like dining room light the first time. Okay. Decisions. That's kind of the thing. You know, I noticed that, you know, when most people do their when you do their streams, there's no decisions. They've already made their decision. I'm going with this color, blah blah blah. They just have it. So that's. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with a dark red, like a blood red or something like that. I don't want it to be as red as the color on his. Um, what do you call it? As red as the color on his cloaky thing. But that's what I'm thinking, like maybe the slaughter red. Slaughter red is a speed paint. I wonder if that would. It's like I said, speed paints, I'll tell you right now, don't work well on dark colors. They don't do much. So that might not be effective. I'd say this is a poor man's bottle shaker, but this really isn't all that cheap. So this may cost as much as one of those bottle shakers. What do they call them? The tornadoes, tornado, or whatever it is. My thought is, like with these now, they have a separation sometimes, these contrast paints, where you can kind of tell the color is different. You know, the top is dark and the bottom is light or whatever, or sometimes it's even white because it's got that white medium or whatever it is that creates the correct solution. So ultimately, I want the whole bottle to look the same color. So once it's all the same color, you know you've kind of got it mixed up good. There shouldn't, I mean, ideally there's nothing sitting at the bottom of the bottle that looks like it's a different color altogether. I don't know if this is going to work because, like I said, contrast paints don't work great against dark colors. They take a lot of layers and stuff to get them to do anything. Now, if you're using a dark contrast paint, it might work okay to provide you some shadows on a somewhat dark thing, like a wash does. But a light color will look like nothing in a lot of cases. I think we might be about good. Let's see where we are. Yeah, I guess that looks pretty good. When I started, the bottom was way red and the top was way dark, and now they look up pretty close to the same. So we'll see. That might even be too. It might be too close to the same color. After all that shaking, I'm not sure that's gonna work. This actually might be a good color to add as a contrast to my red color, because I don't know if I like it. See, I've got a really bright color cloak. I don't know if I want it to be that bright. I want it to be more subdued. So a contrast color like a red, like a slaughter red, might actually be better. This might not be red enough for his tongue. This is a very, well, this is, for a contrast paint, this is really red. And it's actually quite thick. Maybe that will work for his tongue. It might stand out just enough. Let's go and put it on there and see what happens. I think I'll put a highlight on his tongue too. Just to, I don't know, just to kind of bring out the, the contrast of it, make it stand out a little bit. I mean, you could pretty much put highlights on everything, right? Where the sun's hitting it, light's hitting. Oh, he's got a really deep tongue. I'm sure my brush can reach in there. Really tight. I am using a really small brush, so. Try not to get it too much on the teeth yet, although having a little blood on the teeth. This, by the way, this slaughter red is a great blood color. Just saying, if you're trying to, it's as a contrast paint, it just kind of leaks into all the. Well, it's a speed paint, but that's what a contrast. It's a contrast paint line. It just really leaks into the cracks and crevices and just gives you that sensation of, it's got a very good blood appearance. This slaughtery red, this slaughter name works out well for it. Yeah, I guess that will work out okay. I may have to put an extra coat on though, because it does fade to the color underneath. It does give a lot of like I said, they're thin paints, so they tend to let the color underneath through quite a bit, so an extra layer might be required. Alright. Alright, so I've got his tongue kind of covered. And we will see what's next. I'm not sure what my full day is going to be today. I probably plan to do a few hours of streaming today of different things. Painting and maybe gaming. Probably definitely some gaming. I just don't know what game yet. So that's that will be the big question. So let's go ahead and put this in my paint queue or my paint list. I know, is it boring? I always feel like it's so quiet. How do you? It's like I even it's like that might be my paper towel here, which I don't really need underneath here. I probably should remove that. I use a paper towel when I'm spray airbrushing, so it catches a lot of the spray and not getting it all on my. Don't want to get all my whole paint board here completely covered up, which can probably be washed. I just haven't bothered to try. I don't know, maybe not. I can't tell what this texture is, if it's washable or not. I do got to do something with this base, though. That would be good. Mix up this paint a little bit here. This is a game color brown I was using on my leather work. I have to kind of hold the bottle. That's what my hand's purpose is right now. Because if I don't, the band I'm using that holds it against the thing will come off. It's not so bad against like the Vallejo with the narrow neck. With the band sits in the narrow neck. But a lot of these are just straight neck bottles. And so there's nothing to stop it from just sliding off the top of the bottle unless I'm pushing it through. So this is a game color, so it's a lot thicker, a lot more pigment in it. And it's it was weird because it was turning a weird, I don't know, it had a weird dark, I don't know, it was throwing me off yesterday the way it was working. See, look. See how tan the band is on his This is the same color I put on all of this other stuff. How come it came out tan down there? I don't know. I don't know what happened down there. I mean, I don't mind it. I mean, I guess it looks okay, but it's got a much more... I don't know. It's like, what did I do that changed its color? It's definitely not as brown, so unless I somehow switched colors in the middle of it. I don't know, I'm kind of using a mix right now because I'm using a really small brush. Probably not ideal, but my one is kind of misbehaving lately, so it's been too, I don't know, the bristles are going wonky. I gotta look to see if I have another one somewhere. What was I doing yesterday? So I haven't been playing as much Marvel Snap lately. I've actually been missing missions. I still play, probably about once a day, but I'm just not playing as long. I'm just starting to split up my time with other things, which is probably realistic after a year straight of playing. I did not do a state of the game for this latest update. It was pretty good update. Significant. Only thing is, I watched this other guy online who does basically the same thing, and he got it out the day it came out, and his thing is so good. I mean, it's just so much better. It just looks so professional, and I was like, dude, I was like, why do I need to do it? I'm not big on doing the same thing everybody else is doing. It's like, oh, well, that's been done. I feel like if I can beat people, get out there before most other people have gotten it done, all right, I can see doing it. But if I'm like, you know, he gets it out the exact same day the release is out, and it's super professional. Like, wow. And these guys are better players too, so it's like most people are gonna want to watch them anyhow, because I play all right. I mean, but I don't hit Infinity every time. It's mostly because I don't like to play the metas. So people like the metas. I mean, obviously, most people want to win, right? I want to win, but I want to win. I want to win my own way. It's like if I can't come up with something that's good, and granted, you can't completely avoid the metas. Okay, so when I say I don't play the metas, it just means I don't build a deck based on the formulas that somebody else has come up with. If I come up with it or decide I've got a strategy it's going to use and it ends up being pretty much the same, okay, that makes sense. This means I discovered the same synergies, which is understandable, But I don't. If I see a deck being played all the time against me, obviously I know what is being done, and I try to avoid doing that. So it tends to make my games a little bit more. Do I want to say unsuccessful? No. I mean, I can beat. A lot of times I win. I can get, like this month. I've only managed to get to the. I haven't even hit 80 this month. I can't get back up there. I won quite a bit to start. I zipped right up into the 70s. I mean, I went from, I don't know, 50 something, I think, this month to 60s, 70s, and I got up there really quick. And then all of a sudden, I just could not progress. Could not do it. I was getting beat. Every time I'd get up to 77, 78, I'd get knocked back down. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, knocked down. Which is fine, I'll just. The month is almost over. So, and the thing is, 90 is the only good thing left, right? 70 you get the gold, 90 you get I think 70 you get the tokens, the 500 credits or whatever, and then at 90 you get a bunch of gold. But 80, 80's big whoop. You could at 80 you get I think you get an avatar. It's like avatars to me. Avatars are just their way of not giving you anything, making you think you're getting something. I don't know. Avatars are lame. Avatars and titles are just really they are. They're just a way to make you feel like you're getting something. It's kind of like when car dealers say, "Hey, and we're throwing in this fancy cup holder." Okay. It's like, but I don't really care about the cup holder, but thanks. It's like, give me this thing I don't really care about, but at least that's it. Who doesn't like a cup holder in their car, right? All right, so I got that band looking a little bit more the color I want. I know it's dark, but that's okay. I wanted it to be. And I'll use lighter colors to call out the highlights because it does need to be. It will need to be highlighted. But I'm just kind of cleaning up the areas right now that I want. I get my contrast paint consistency back down to contrast paint consistency. I have some on my board here, but it kind of ran and then it kind of dehydrated. So I'm trying to get just trying to get the little bit of contrast going now. The highlights. Though this ain't highlights, this is shading, but it's always kind of interesting. Sometimes just putting the shade will make other parts look highlighted. Simply because the shade is darker, right? So you don't even have to necessarily add highlights in some spots if your shading is contrasty enough. I do have the problem of I'm leaning so far forward right now that I'm leaning on the table, which I don't like. This will allow me to not lean so far forward. You got some kind of a buckle on here I'm gonna have to deal with. I'm using my Desolate Brown contrast paint here to just try to provide some highlights to my leather, I don't know, whatever this is. I'm starting to think it's more like a leather brassiere, because I think this is a female character. You know, is a lord, is it a, she's a lord of the Knolls, but is a female a lord? You can't call her I guess it'd be kind of weird to call her a Duchess of the Knolls, or a, what else would it be? I think lord just means ruler, right? So lord probably works. I mean, now I'm hitting that. Now I'm going to start whacking my head on the camera. As I try to stay in the camera, I start whacking my head on the camera. That's nice. Now this is very precision washing or shading. Not always the most favored way to do it, because it's more time consuming and also can be both finicky and better. It can be better, but it can also be more difficult to accomplish, because you get it where you don't want it, then you end up having to go back over it with something else, or you have to spread your shade. Really what you're doing when you do it this way is you're not really letting the contrast paint be contrast paint. Contrast paint's job is to say, hey, you know what, I got the highlights. Don't worry about me, man. I just brush me on there. I'll separate where I need to. But you're not saying, you're saying, nah, I got it. I want you to go right where I put you. Don't worry about anything else. And the contrast paint's kind of forced to behave like you want it to, which doesn't always work because then you get different kinds of shading, shadowing, coloring in different places. So if you're not accurate with your placement, it doesn't stand out right? It's got the wrong effects. It starts just looking like you got weird brush strokes right in the middle. I'm trying to get. I may even have to go with something a little darker at points to really make things pop the way I want, because it's a little close in color, but especially since that other color didn't seem to quite shade right, or didn't quite take on the color attributes I expected it to. Trying to get this tiny little spot that I missed. There's always something. Like I said, there's even a spot I haven't painted. There's a couple little things I haven't painted, like the rings that are holding these skulls on his body, and the skull horns on the belt buckle. I don't know, is it too early to have caffeine? No, I mean like a energy drink. Nah. I'm gonna drink a Ghost. Now these have a lot of caffeine. It's probably good because I end up with it. Oftentimes I end up with a headache if I don't drink some kind of caffeine in the daytime. This will prevent me from getting that. It just feels early, 9:30. So I could drink. It's like drinking liquor in the morning. I usually drink my caffeine in the afternoon, except for my pre-workout. Okay, that's different. I do drink my pre-workout, obviously, like at 5 o'clock in the morning, but I don't work out on Saturdays, so this is not a normal pre-workout day. Let's go ahead and paint these rings that are holding these skulls on his body. Let's get those to have some kind of color on them. So I went and got my enhanced license yesterday. Now, here in the U.S. and, different parts of the U.S. have these enhanced license. I'm in Washington, so what an enhanced license is it's basically a domestic version of a passport. I can see how some people wouldn't like getting one because it's got it's got this radio transmitter thing and an RFID, and it's like allows them to look up information on you. But your passport kind of has that stuff on it too now. But people in their paranoia. Oh no, the world they're trying to find out everything about me. It's like what do you have? I always wonder about people who are all freaked out about, marketing companies or anybody knowing about. It's like, do you have that much to hide? What is the fear here? I mean, yes, I can see that you could be afraid of financial information, but really, that's not. I mean, in general, that stuff's more locked down, right? So I don't know. I don't think every little request for, or, it's like if somebody's, it's like I don't mind those I actually do not mind. I will say I don't mind the marketing stuff that people see online. They go, oh, "That's creepy that they know what I want, and I don't ever let them have permission." It's like, why is it creepy? Yeah, it's not creepy. You gave them the information, so it's not creepy. It's not like it came out of thin air. And if you're not giving them the information, then whatever. I guess that maybe that's more creepy. But at the same time, I don't think. I just I just don't see the big deal. I prefer getting notifications that are meaningful to me. So or marketing. It's like, what do I want baby wipes for? Or it's like I'd rather them market to me the miniatures that I buy, or good deals on minis, or paints that I'm looking at, or yeah, if somebody knows, if I'm getting stuff that's marketing to stuff I actually care about, that's useful to me. And I just don't see the big deal with letting them do that. Targeted marketing is makes sense. Now, yes, it means I spend more money because it's like, oh, that's cool. Gotta have that. So there is that drawback, but beyond that, that small technicality, that's really what it's all about, right? I mean, at least I really am kind of stumped on what some of these parts are. So he's got this blade things on his arm, on his belt, and I'm trying to figure out. And then he's got this little thing that wraps up around by the horns on on his belt buckle thing, and I don't know what that is. If that's the, is that the rings that the metal? I don't know. I don't know how it's being held on his belt, and I don't know when he would ever use those. It's like, are they just a cool decoration? He's got blades hanging off his belt. Yep, I overthink how these guys are put together. Can't help it. Don't make sense. I'm gonna question it. It's like, what were they thinking, man? And I don't know. Sometimes it probably came out even better on their design, and you're like, oh yeah, if you could see like the original CAD design, but sometimes maybe when it actually when the mold actually or call it the render actually happens, it doesn't always translate. I did note I'm going to need another splotch of brick red for my touch-ups. I was trying to use what I had on my board here, but it's really thin. It's gotten really thin, and it's, I think, pretty much dried up. So I need to put a drop down. So primarily I've used, I think I've now used 4 brands of paint on this guy. I have Reaper, who is actually my primary color on this guy. That's the brick red. I've got contrast paints, which are a combination of some Vallejo Express and Army Painter. And then I've also got me some Evil Sun's Red, which was the color of his cloak. And that's that one's Citadel. So That's pretty much all the paints I have. I have a couple. I have scale 75, a little bit of, but I don't have a lot of that one. So, yeah, I'm getting the full gambit of paint range that I own. I'm just trying to fix. Notice that this side of his tail, I think this is because the other day I had to put some color in an area I couldn't reach, and the red got on his tail. So now I'm trying to get the tail back to its proper color without getting it on the other stuff. This one is not any kind of an ink or anything like that, so it should actually spread pretty nice. I'm not actually sure the best. I mean, this is a really dark red. I'm not sure what to use for the shades and the highlights. Probably like use something like an orange or a really deep. I don't know, like maybe a bright red for a highlight, like a ink red. Something that can actually stand out enough to cause highlights. Because it's like you need it to be pigmented enough to do what you want it to do, but at the same time yeah, this is just me going back and forth, trying to fix stuff. Cover up those areas that got some color that should not be on them. Right. I don't want to call it the cleanup stage. It's really not that, but you have to do a lot of cleanup in between, because as you're starting to do it, you get to that point where you got to do it when you see it, because it's quite hard to. So I'm really thinking I'm going to do some black or near black contrast shading. Because I want it to be, there's some areas here that need some serious shadowing, like underneath his cloak. I mean, it just looks too much. Like I need to put a wash on the bottom of the cloak. Definitely need a wash on the bottom of the cloak. And I'm not sure if that slaughter red, if it's thin enough, maybe be a good shadowing underneath there. But it really needs to be like let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a slaughter red on the bottom, and then we'll see what it looks like. It's going to be pretty dark, but definitely needs to be something. Something needs to be down there. Alright, so where's slaughter red go? Oh, there it is. It's going to take a little bit more. So again, with the contrast paints, you're typically kind of generous. As in, take a kind of a thicker brush. Brush with his best of his life behind him sometimes. Gotta wash off the soap on my brush so that it's not soapy. I'll just take a nice big chunk of that and we'll just put it underneath. So I know yesterday I was talking about we do game night on Saturday nights. Tonight's normally a night, but something came up on the person who actually runs who kind of sets up our location, and so we had to pick another location. We couldn't figure out a good location, and then so we suggested a couple places, and there's a game store we typically will go to. But they've gotten super popular now, and you can reserve a table. So you go, I called to reserve, and they're 2 weeks booked out. I was like, oh, are you kidding me? Since when? I mean, to me, it's like, what's the point? I mean, it's a game store, right? So why are they even booking out that far? I mean, it doesn't strike me as something that you would do. Like, it's like, I don't know. I just feel like it's not a doctor's office, right? So why do you book so far out? It's like, a week out is plenty. Heck, even just a few days. You should like start booking for the weekend on like Saturday or on Wednesday. 3 days advance should be plenty. I mean, I don't know why you would need more than that. And then, because it's silly. It's a game store. You got people come in all the time. It's supposed to be kind of a easygoing thing, but book. You might have a few tables that are set up that you could book farther out because maybe people have like D&D campaigns or something that they want to have regularly. But it should not. I don't think they should be like perma bookings. I just think that's silly for a game store. But hey, who am I? It's their show. It's their shop. They can do what they want, right? I just wouldn't do that. I like the idea of being able to reserve tables, but I don't think it should be done. 2 to 3 days in advance is plenty. So says me. Who am I, you say? Well, good question. Nobody that has any influence on them, that's for sure. I mean, other than any other customer should. They're a great game store. People like them. That's why people are booking out so far. They want to go hang out there. So success. To the success goes the spoils. To the winner goes the spoils. There's a few good. I mean, they are probably the best game store around here, and they've put a lot of effort into it. So if you ever want to check them out, I definitely recommend them. Just not on a Saturday night. You're not going to be able to, I mean, you can go check them out on a Saturday night. I'm just saying you're not going to, you may find that it's pretty hard to get in there. That's all I'm saying. You can go in, I mean, shop. It's a cool shop. They've actually got two parts to their shop. And I'm talking, when I say two parts, I mean like nearby two parts. They got their miniatures location, which is like a block from their main location. And then they have their main location. And the miniatures location, they play Warhammer and all that. And they got a lot of paints. And they actually got paints in both. But it's funny, they carry their Warhammer line in the main shop. And then they carry their all their other stuff. They say Warhammer? No, I meant their Army Painter line is in the main shop. And all their other paints, the Vallejo, and I think they have Citadel, are all at their miniatures location, where they play all their army games. And people go there and paint and stuff too. I would do that if, in fact, I usually do that a lot, where I'll go to shops and just paint locally. I do that when I'm just trying to market, the Mage Cage and the X case. Because it's a good chance for people to see them in action. And I carry, because I can carry all my paints and some minis with me, and I just sit down at a table and take over a space and go to it, man. And people check them out. They're cool, especially when you add lights. And I do add lights because lights are cool. And the lights help me when I'm painting. So I got a spot in here I'm trying to get my brush into, but I can't figure out how to get to it. Without getting paint on other stuff. My wife and daughter are upstairs watching, what is it, Love is Blind? And I mentioned the other day, that I actually will watch just about anything. Because I like variety, I'm okay with those interesting things. But that's the kind of show that it's not that I don't, I mean, I won't really sit and watch it much. Like, if I'm eating lunch with my wife or something and they have it on, I'll watch it. And then I just, I might ask for a little bit of a recap, just who's who, why is such and such, and that kind of thing. But I'm not, I don't feel like I have to know all the little details, just kind of like, so what's going on with these two, but I'm not gonna like, they turn it on, oh, wait for me, it's like, no, it's just like, whatever, just watch it. And if I feel inclined, I'll sit down. I typically don't. That's why I'm down here. I kind of got the gist. It's like each phase of, the shows have multiple phases, right? The meat, that particular show, they have the, what do you call it, proposals, and then they go through and go live. And for me, when I'm watching those shows, I'm like, okay, well, I see where they kind of got to the point where they proposed. And now they're out doing their live, and I'm like, okay, well, I see what I need to see right now. I'll come back. If I come back upstairs later, you get to tell me if there's anything interesting happened. It's the way it is, Just not that into it. But I do find it entertaining enough that it's like, huh. I could see what it is that people like about those shows because it's just weird. It's just interesting to see how people interact with each other. You always wonder. My biggest wonder is, do these people stay together? And sometimes you find out that they don't. Um, but some of these shows, I guess, they do pretty good. I was surprised. I actually thought this was one of those that people eventually just go, yeah, no. And I don't know that it's even a Love is Blind thing. I just don't think whether it's Love is Blind is not or not. The thing is, have you ever noticed that with like that show? I don't. If you've ever watched a show like Love Is Blind, where they don't see each other until they've proposed and they're ready to go to the next step, have you ever noticed that they're really not gambling that much as far as looks go? There aren't any people who would I say widely considered unattractive. At first, first look. None of that. They don't. They rarely have that. Now, I say widely considered because everybody's attractive to somebody, right? But based on the norms of society, the way people do tend to judge appearance. I think there are levels of attraction that you'd expect, but these guys, all these shows, you're pretty much everybody's attractive. So yeah, it's not going to be a huge deal if you've already connected to them on an emotional level because of all the talking, and then you go find out that oh yeah, you're attractive. It's all that matters. It's like, I knew you were going to be attractive because they never have unattractive people on here. Even if they're only moderately attractive, you've already made that connection. So moderately attractive is all the attraction you need because you're already I don't know, say in love, in infatuation with them. And so you're going to have a pretty high tolerance for what it takes for what somebody's going to look like because you've already made that mental, emotional commitment to them. And I don't think there's much risk on that show. Now, if they were to start having people on there, they're like, I don't even know what is a universally unattractive person. I could list things that are in my mind, but that's not like, what do I know, right? But there are people. I mean, admit it. Everybody out there say, "Oh, what do you mean? There's nobody who's attractive." Everybody's unattractive. Actually, everybody's unattractive to somebody. Somebody just doesn't like that kind of person, and it's just not their thing. And everybody's attractive to somebody because, well, same thing. But there are what I call universal attractions, which basically means most people would find them attractive. It's like if you're a woman, or some guys, you probably find Brad Pitt attractive, right? I mean, he's one of those universal attractives. Now, yes, some people go, nah, I don't like him. If you're women, well, I used to say Angelina Jolie, but she, I don't know. People think she's kind of weird now because she's, some people like the really skinny. She's really skinny now, so that could be a positive for a lot of people. I don't know. But there's plenty of women who are the same thing, but I don't go in for the super attractive women myself. That's not right. Super attractive is the wrong word. Model attractive. Let's call it that. Model attractive. Because I really don't find them all that attractive. Too thin, too fake looking. Sometimes they are fake, right? They've got fake thises and fake thatses that make them look like they do. But I kind of like that natural beauty. The one that just makes you look like you actually exist. Nobody's going to be like, ooh. Now, I'm not talking about, homely or anything. I always thought it's funny how I didn't know. In fact, I learned what the word comely. I always thought that was like homely, but it's actually the opposite. And I was like, oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Wow. And the thing is, when I learned it, I was a full-grown adult. You know what? In fact, I noticed it most. I actually learned the meaning of comely. Get this. Watching Game of Thrones. It's one of those. I was this much. Was it this years old or whatever they do? Uh, when I discovered this, it's like you learn these little facts of things that seems like everybody knows, but apparently you. That was me in the word comely. I felt like everybody probably knew what that meant except me. I always thought it was just homely. I was like, why do they say it that way? Why? What is the difference? Is that actually different from homely? And it's like, yes, it's the exact opposite. It's like, oh. Live and learn, man. So yeah, you can learn stuff as an adult. I have this Power Word or Power Vocab app on my phone. Every now and then I'll try to play with it. And there's like some of those words I think I've heard this word before, but I have no idea what it means. And you're like, oh, learn new words. I should probably paint these threads. They should be leather colored. Or these little patch things that are holding his, I guess, holding his cloak from falling apart. Ah! You know, these brushes, I will say this, they're not designed to be held too close. I think you're supposed to hold them like just above the fat part on the bottom. And I sometimes roll it too high up here, and that puts a lot of the weight in back. And that tends to, I think you're supposed to hold them back here so that the fat stays towards the front. And I occasionally hold it too close to the front, and then it will fall out of my hand. I've done that a number of times already. I'm not sure where to put some of this paint. It's like, do I edge highlight with this? It's like, which one should be leading the way? Whoops, see, put paint when I don't want it. Whoops, did it again. I'm pulling the paintbrush too far the wrong way. The brush tends to want to move where it wants to move sometimes. Look, I found a spot that's not painted at all. It's like right in there. I don't even know. You can't see it from other angles. Only this angle sees this, and I just discovered it. No, I gotta try to... And sometimes I think my brush doesn't actually come to the point I want it to. It's like how am I supposed to get stuff in there if it doesn't want to be the right? I'm holding it too far up again. I can feel it wanting to fall out of my hand. Now, as I've kind of got this looking or doing what I want it to, that's just even with just those highlights, it's starting to look a lot better. Getting a lot more color, a lot more contrastiness going for it. Just try not to get it all over the skull when I get close to the skull here. Okay, we'll come back around and start adding more bright red to give highlights to this. I'm not totally sure. Probably should even get a little bit of this underneath here. Just to allow for the fact that it's a shadowy spot. Let's go ahead and add a little bit more red in there. We'll wet blend it a little bit just to make it look natural. That looks pretty wet blended. Pretty blended. Okay, I'm kind of doing like mixes of my red and my bright red and my slaughter red here, just to provide a little, I don't know, change of shade, change of angle. Just trying to, in those areas that look like they might be a little bit more shadowed than others, while not being too obvious about it. Making areas look darker than they would just because there's a tail here that's providing shade over this. One thing I gotta say about these glasses, I like them, but they keep sliding down my face. And that is kind of annoying. Alright, I'm getting hot. I gotta take off my sweater here. Come down here, I'm cold. I paint for a while, I'm hot. I don't even know why. What am I doing that's so heating? Is it the concentration? It's my brain is amping up and producing heat. So the drink of the day, Ghost Sour Patch Red Berry. I do like Ghost. No, it's not an advertisement. I'm just telling you what I'm drinking. I mean, I guess if I'm telling you I like it, I'm advertising it, but no, I'm not, I'm not advertising it. Let's see. Let's take a quick moment to tell you about me, the sponsor of my show. Okay, so if you don't know who I am, my name's Ken Romero, and I own Active Minds Games. I created it. I created it in order to sell the X case and the Mage Cage. I actually developed this storage case. I started playing HeroClix some years back, way when it first came. In fact, I knew about HeroClix before it was released. I was like, oh, this is going to be such a cool game. Oh, I got to get into that. And then it came out, and I went out and bought some minis. And we enjoyed it. Me and my friends, we were like all over this game. We played it a ton. And so I needed somewhere to store these things. And it's like, oh, they don't have any good cases out there. I couldn't find anything yet because this was back in 2000. I don't know, 3, 4, 2. I don't know, something like that. And so I said, well, what would be the perfect case? I just started deciding I'm going to draw something up. What would I want this to be? And I said, well, it need to be like something expandable because I don't want to buy like a case and then I have to go buy another case and then have to go buy another case because I keep outgrowing it and just blah, blah, and I have to throw away the little case and go to the bigger case, or maybe I use the little case and the big case, and then I have all these different sized cases everywhere. And I was like, this is not what I want to do. I don't want to spend, $100 at I don't want to get to that point where I have to go spend and buy $100 case to replace my $5 case, $10 case, $20 case. And I go, this is silly. So I said, I need something expandable. So as my collection grows, I can add to it. And then I decided, well, if these things are all connected, I want to be able to get my pieces out, right? So I decided, let's put the doors in the front so that I can get to the pieces while they're all still connected to each other. And I went, well, if this is going to be expandable, I need to be able to put them all together in some way. So I decided, I thought, well, Lego doesn't work. The single little pop-on kind of solution, that doesn't work because it's too much weight. You got to have too many things. You need something that actually locks on, grabs on to each unit. So I designed them so they have these little clips on the side so that when you put them on top of each other, they would snap in and they'd stack up. But then I go, well, that's great, but you can only carry so many units tall. So I go, well, how would I connect these to the front? Well, if I connect them in the front, they need to be able to open, so that you can take them apart. So I put these little clips on the front that would allow you to swing them open. So you just disconnect one side and they'll swing open. And then I thought, oh, we'll put the same clips on the back and make them an accordion effect. So you can just make them as big and as tall as you want. Just keep adding units to them. And so I said, these are pretty cool. I actually, I'm going to make an injection mold. I'm going to see how much it costs to get somebody to print these. 3D print back in 2000, whatever, was expensive as heck. I mean, like crazy expensive to do a 3D print of a unit like that. I found a company that would do it for me. $1,500 to do 3 of them. 3. And they did exactly like I asked. These weren't, they weren't engineers or anything. They just, this is what you want. And I said, yeah, that's what I want. So they did them. They worked great. They actually did exactly what I wanted. I wanted the handles to be, able to come in and out because I wanted to be able to turn the unit sideways. Thing is, these were made of the old injection mold junk. It was it's like super brittle. I mean, this stuff was not good. I mean, you couldn't do a lot with it. This wasn't like an ABS or something solid that had some resilience to it. No, these were very brittle. So all I could do is connect them on. I still have the mini the cases. I'd have to show them at some point. But I walked around with them. I had my handle in them. I stacked them up into 3, and I put all the HeroClix that I had inside of there. And I went to a local convention. It was the Emerald City Comic Con back when it was just a baby. I mean, we're talking about maybe 500 attendees. This was back in their first couple of years. Now, it's a massive convention here now. We're talking about 50, 60,000 people go to it every year. So it's big. It's a big thing now and also really hard to get into. But I went down to this convention. I walked around and people were like, oh, those are so cool. Where do you get these cases? Oh, I need to get them because HeroClix was popular. It was huge at the time. So everybody who played minis or played board gaming knew about HeroClix. It was a big deal. And it was one of the early miniatures games that came out. and it was a cool concept, and it still is. I still think it's great. I just unfortunately don't know who and where and when to play with people, because around here there's not a lot of people. I haven't been buying them as much. Obviously I've made up for it with other minis, but anyway, so I said, you know what, people like these. I'm gonna look into getting them made, see how much that costs. Whew. Got some quotes, got some basics. I went down to I actually had to work with an engineer. I hired an engineer in company to look at my thing and actually say, look, I need to see about getting these actually printed. I need some help, making them functional, because I don't know what all the process is in injection molding. And so they kind of redesigned them slightly, but kept all my major features: vertical horizontal connections, the front opening thing, and they connect in back, but they don't swing open and back, because we couldn't get the hinges to work in an injection mold so that they would able to come out of the mold. So, but they still connect in back, so you can still create the stacks any way you want. So if you want to do it, you just disconnect the backs. They have these little latches. Anyway, long story short, first run of mage cages, a year later or so, we got them run. I got the mold made, I got them printed, and this came 100% out of my pocket. And I estimated, I think it was a half container, 9,000 units made. I filled up my garage. I mean, it was just, my garage was stacked to the rim. And I started going to conventions and selling these things. And did not sell as many as I expected, because I don't do much marketing and most people didn't know about them. And I went to the wrong conventions. I went to Gen Con and a couple of Origins, and I sold, several hundred units at these things every time I went. But they were proportionately, and I didn't know what to expect, and I expected bigger. But also I had to realize that these conventions don't have a ton of miniatures people at them. And so a lot of it was learn, live, and learn. But I did end up selling through, let's see, I have about 200 mage cages still. And those aren't the original run. I've reprinted more, but I've sold, I think of all those cases, they're all gone. I've sold proportionally all of them, although I've had additional print runs, and I do still have some of the original cases, probably 50 or 60 units. But I've had additional print runs that have come and kind of filled in, because I've improved each print run. So the second print run was the first time I created them without the ridges on the inside, which is when they became the X case, mage cage to X case. So yeah, you should check this out. Check them out. We now have magnetic inserts for them, and flex iron you put on the bottom of your mini, so they'll stick to the inside, so you can travel. The handles are adjustable, they pop off, and then you just switch them in between how you want to connect them to carry your cases. They overlap, so you can distribute the weight across the top, and then you can take them to conventions or games, or just game store and go play your games. They are awesome, and everybody that bought them from me has said they are awesome. Trust me, I'm not just tooting my own horn. I love them. I think they're one of the coolest inventions I've seen in the game industry. And I'm just telling you, just out of my opinion, there's some cool stuff that's come out. And I'm not talking about just cool looking, but I'm just talking functionally speaking. Most people, the biggest problem with them that anybody's ever said is that I've already bought all my cases. That's the problem. I'm competing against those people who have already got the cases. They've been buying all these variety of cases. They've got their big display case on the downstairs, or for showing off their stuff. They've got their transport cases they've spent $150 on. It's really hard to transition unless you're going to just throw those away or sell them or give them away or whatever you can do. So don't let that happen to you. Plan, help us out, help us get these made. We're going to get more X cases out to people once we can get the Kickstarter run. So I say go check out the X case and the mage cage on YouTube and Instagram. You'll see a lot of cool pictures and videos showing you how they work and how they function. And there's even a video on there that talks about what we have planned, the cool shelving that's going to be configurable, so you can put them in there any way you want, to maybe split the case or have multiple tiers of small ones. In the big case is going to be super cool. It's going to be like the size of 4 X cases. and it'll still connect to the other X cases. So you can create like a double stack of those and a triple stack of X cases and snap them together. So now you can carry some big units and a whole bunch of little units and go off and beat the snot out of your opponents. So check those out. If you like them, go to Facebook and follow us on YouTube and Instagram too. Active Minds Games. That's with an S, MINDSGAMES. Follow us on those too, but follow us on Facebook, because Facebook's kind of like our, hey, we want to be part of your part of your Kickstarter launch. We want to get some of these cases for ourselves. And I haven't launched the date of the Kickstarter because that's going to be dependent on you and all the follows I get. So go check out Facebook, Active Minds Games, same thing, and follow us on there. And I don't put a lot of updates on there, but periodically I'll put something new up there. If I do an ad for the mage cages and stuff that we have, I'll put it on there. If I'm making some kind of progress on something, or if I'm just doing a shout out, feel free to comment. Let us know what you think. Tell us you're ready for these cases to come out. And yeah, let's, once we hit 800 people there, I'm going to announce probably within 3 months from that point, the launch of the Kickstarter. And we're going to need probably 800 to 1,000 backers on this Kickstarter, which is a lot. That's a fair amount. But on the average sale of my last Kickstarter, when we first came out with the clear units, which, by the way, is the reason I'm doing this, is because I did not plan for such success. the clear units I had, the extra ones I bought, sold out within a few months. And I only made enough to pay for the production of the run, so we wouldn't have, there wouldn't be any risk. And I've been doing that every time I've produced. I've produced enough to pay for the production run, so when we sell out, we're even, or we're good. And that's how we've been able to keep things going. But it's time for us to take that extra leap. This time we're going to bake enough that when we sell out, we can make more. We'll have money to make more, and that's the goal. And so therefore, we're planning that out with all the marketing that we want to do with them. And we're going to have enough units to not only do the marketing that allows us to sell them, allows us to make more. Just kind of keep this cycle going. And but first, it starts with you. So check it out. Go to Active Minds Games on Facebook. Follow us there to be part of that Kickstarter. And yeah, check out those videos and let us know what you think. Enough of that. That's my 10-minute spiel. I hope it wasn't 10 minutes. Probably was. That's what I do all this for. It's all about, I mean, it's not the only thing. I mean, I like to paint. I like to play games. And I like to chat with people about various stuff. So, yeah, check it out. And come and talk. I think that's one of the reasons. But like all the money I make, Patreon, donations, whatever I make from my 2 streaming tags is going into either the streams themselves to make them better, or into the X case, Mage Cage production. So we're doing a lot of prep work, whenever I get some money, I get things kind of ready, so that when that day comes and we're ready to launch the Kickstarter, we're as ready as we can be. That's the goal. So if you feel so inclined as to help out with that too, check out my links on the bottom of my screen. We have Patreon and tip page and whatever else, and you can help out any way you want, as much as you want. It's all appreciated. Thanks. Back to it. What do we want to do here? Did notice I got a little bit of a bleed here. So it's, in other words, I've got things that I'm always seeing little things that manage to squeeze through. Just trying to make sure I get everything looking consistent. It's like, I hate it when my brush starts to split. It only doesn't do it constantly, but it does it frequently enough that it bugs me. It takes away my precision. It's not like I'm the most steady hand as it is. I don't need my brush bristles pointing off in weird places to make that all the more challenging. Tomorrow's my family birthday celebration. My most of my kids will be here. I don't know if all of them will be, but my 4 kids, I think 3 of them will probably be here to come and celebrate my birthday with me. That's cool. Possibly all 4 of them. I don't know yet. I have one son where things are a little weird. Yeah, it's a long story, but whatever it is. I mean, I'm not even fully sure what the heck is going on there, but it's just one of those things. Life throws challenges at you. Sometimes those challenges come in the form of your kids. But hey, I love all my kids equally. They're all awesome. I was blessed majorly with all of my family. To be honest, I don't have any complaints other than the fact that I wish I knew how to interact with them. Sometimes I'm not. I am human, and sometimes you just can't figure it out as a human. But God has given me some great family members, and I would never, ever change that, do anything to change that. I love them all. And there's so many cool things about all my kids. I can look at every one of them and just go, "Yep, that's awesome." I mean, that's just something some of my kids I relate to differently. Some of them I have just there's an affectionateness. Obviously, with a daughter, there's a lot more affection. It's just normal, right? I think daughters just tend to be more so that way. In general, okay, so you can. Nothing's universal, but then there's my sons who all have similar interests in some things. I can't get any of them to really like football. That's even no. I mean, I had one of my sons played football for a year, and he was pretty good actually. I thought he could have been better, but he just didn't have an interest. He just did not have. What I mean better is, if he wanted to be, he could have really put in some time. But again, it was his choice. I just try to get all my kids into sports. I had them all doing sports as kids just because I wanted them to experience it, I had them all try different sports. Some of them, I think all of them did track at one time. They all did basketball, I think. My daughter included, all of them. And however, none of them really stuck. I think only my oldest son is the only one who does anything athletic on his own accord. He's the only one. They voluntarily trained and ran a marathon with me, and they did. Actually, Ray ran I think they ran a couple. My eldest ran a half marathon, and my youngest ran a full and a half. I think he ran a full. Maybe he just ran a couple of halves. But either way, they ran marathons with me. But they both have long since done. But they did the STP with me. It's a Seattle to Portland bike ride. which is a 204-mile bike ride. Took us a day to do. We got it done in one day. But and I was gonna do it a second time by myself, or with just I think I had a friend that was gonna do it, but I was not gonna train with anybody specifically. And then I decided it was a pain in the butt. It's like the amount of hours you put in training for that thing. I was gonna try to get it done. Like I was thinking, go by myself because I was gonna try to get it done and in a fast time. Because I was going a little bit slower because my sons were a little bit slower, and I just wanted to keep up with them. I didn't want to just like leave them behind. I wanted it to be a fun kind of all of us finishing together, and so we waited at each rest stop to make sure everybody was all together, and sometimes that resulted in losing some significant time. But ultimately, it's funny because my one son, who really struggled on that because his knee was hurting and stuff, and he was really struggling with that, and he didn't want to do the STP with me the next year. But you know what? He rides his bike all the time now. He probably doesn't have any problems with his knee anymore. He's probably trained his body to do it. Like, he could probably do the STP now. He rides his bike, well, a lot more, than I ride a bike. I ride a bike about once a week, but I only do it for training, so I'm rarely on the bike for more than an hour. Usually an hour is kind of my max training time. Though I do go pretty hard. It's not like the STP where you got to train for like 4, 6, 8 hours. The longest rides. That's what killed me. Those long rides, just riding around, hitting the trail and going and going and going and going. And I was like, no, don't want to do this anymore. I said, yeah, I'll go back to marathon running. Because my thought with marathon running is you're done. Even your long training is 3 hours. 3 hours of running on a marathon running is so much faster than the 6, 7, 8 hours. 3 hours is the max time, too. You rarely run more than that on a training run. Because 3 hours, well, for me, was 20 miles, and I'm done. And so yeah, like there was no. I can go out early, come back, and I'm done for the day. And with the training ride, the longest training ride on a 200-mile training program is about 8 hours and probably 100 miles. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. That was not fun, and I certainly didn't want to do it by myself. And since my kids weren't doing it this time, I was like, yeah, this is not going to be fun. So I went back to running. This guy's going to have a lot of little details, I'm telling you right now. So as I go through and continue to go back and forth between things and cleaning this up and adding this and adding that, I'm finding there's actually a lot of details I am finding myself trying to hit. Trying to get some of this darker brown into this belt area that I didn't do in the front. I did it in the back, but Okay. Where am I here? Let's see. Kind of weird how dark this goes down, but it doesn't always stay dark. It takes a couple of layers to get it to stay dark. And I have to twirl my brush to bring the bristles together because it seems to lose its point. I don't know how they do that. I've been watching people paint online and the bristles are always perfectly pointy. I'm like, dude. How do they do that? Because I have a good brush. I have good brushes. I buy the good kind. Some people just buy cheap brushes and then they just change brushes all the time. Which is probably a good way to do it. Maybe that's the way. Maybe that's what I need to do. Just stop trying to buy fancy brushes and keep them going forever. Just say, screw it. I'm buying cheap brushes and I'm gonna just throw them away when they're not behaving anymore. I haven't figured out what color I'm going to put on the... Now, the idea with this brick red was actually to make it kind of a brown. So I should probably almost wash with the brown. Because I didn't want him to be red, but it actually came out okay. So I was like, maybe I can leave it. But I could technically wash with this brown to give him the color I want. Because it's dark enough that it's... See, maybe I should try it on a part of his leg or something to see if I like what it does. But I'm gonna need more. Now this is the desolate brown, and it's kind of a dark brown. But it might look good for providing the details I want to do the wash on his body. I need to start getting the details of his body to start popping out. So we'll see. I'm going to do it on the leg here first to see how brown it turns everything. I don't want him to turn brown, so I may have to... I mean, the whole point here is to see how this... Because I may have to go over this again with the actual brick red. And I just want to see how this calls out. I'm just going to do it on his foot here. Totally changing the color of him. Because if it turns him completely brown, I don't like it. I'm hoping that as it dries, it fades away like it's supposed to and just creates that overlayer that's supposed to pop the... Let's see. A wash. I haven't done his claws or anything. I'll do those last. So let's see what this does as it calls out. Let's see if it fades into a reddish brown, which is kind of what I'm hoping for. We'll do both legs. This leg is already kind of brown, right? Because it's got the wraps on it. So Shouldn't be too big of a deal. So even if I let this stuff wash over the wraps. I'm just doing his lower legs because I want to see how this brown affects the color overall. I really wanted him to have that brick red base, but I'm trying to see if this brown's going to make that go away. And if it does, then I'll probably have to try something else. All right, see what that does. All right, let's see what the other leg looks like. So maybe it does seem to have provided some amount of sometimes if you really don't want it to look too colored out, you can always try to do highlights with your brick red. And maybe I'll do the brick red because I want, like I said, the brown. It's definitely shifting towards a brown color. But as it dries, I'm just trying to see how it affects versus like the area above it, which doesn't really have any contrast on it. So it's like here. So you can see this is the leg I did. I don't know if you can see, but this is the leg I did, and this is the leg. It's not done. It's just the red color. And it's hard to tell because you still have the contrast of what's drying here, but I'm thinking it does actually make it look pretty good. And I might still have to go back over it with like a, I don't know, some kind of a sharper red or something to bring the highlights up. But it's going to be tough because I hate using dry brushing and trying to figure out how to get a good I did see a good idea. Somebody was using their airbrush to dry the paint. Basically, all they're doing is um, just blowing air. They just blow air on the figure. I was like, huh, it's kind of interesting. So again, here you can see I put brown on this leg, the contrast, and it does seem to call the contrast, the details out a little bit more versus this upper area, which doesn't have any. I don't know. I think I might go with it. I don't think it looks bad, and if it does turn him a little bit more brown, that's okay to a point. I just didn't want it to change him to be completely brown, so I think we're okay. I think it is. I definitely don't want to put a bunch of coats. This is a one-time, one quick wash kind of thing, and you got to spread it out really thin. As thin as reasonable, so to avoid too much coating. So you got to kind of go fast. This stuff does dry pretty quickly, so. And then trying not to get it where you don't want it would be awesome too. It's definitely got enough detail in his I keep calling it a him, but I can tell you that chest might not be a him. The fun part, trying to get in to the back of the leg here. Now, I don't care if this part gets pretty brown because, well, this part is pretty dark. I think my lamp light is dying. I have to stop and charge that up. I really do need this light. I really do like it, but it needs to be pretty bright because that's the whole reason I use it, really. I mean, I like the magnification too, but it just really helps with the seeing the details if the light is bright. And if it's dying, I almost need a second one just to have one fully charged. So if I do get into a longer session and my light's dying, I don't have to stop to charge it. You know, when you got your momentum going, it's like, oh, hey, it's a good time to... Now the question is, what am I going to do with this base? I've had that number of ideas run through my mind. Right. It does seem to be calling out the details. I mean, I feel like I could probably do a little bit more in the muscles, in the really thick muscles, like actually take a line and actually draw something really fine in those lines to really pop them. But the wash is helping a lot, I think, bringing those muscles out more. But I want to probably make them more defined. The big muscles, the small muscles, I think are fine. I just think the big muscles, the big creases need a little bit more shading. And I don't know if this is going to work. Now, I've seen some people really emphasize these. They would use like a really dark color, and they would use, I mean, they just really pop the muscles. And I'm like, I don't know, that might be a bit much. Or they'll like, it really looks, I mean, it looks good sometimes, I guess. I don't know. I just don't want it to be so emphasized that it looks unnatural. But I want it to be emphasized enough that there's no doubt, no, those muscles definitely show. And so I guess it's kind of a to each his own. Some people like that super high definition change. I just like them to be clear and obvious, but not so obvious that it's like, okay. Like he's got dirt in the creases. I don't want it to look like he's got dirt in the creases of his body. And this brush is losing, it just doesn't have the ability to stay together anymore. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. I'm trying to, every now and then you got to look at it without your magnification, right? You got to see what it looks like just with your naked eye. The magnification, really what it's for is precision. It allows you to hide, to not have the micro flaws. And the micro flaws are not identifiable oftentimes by your naked vision, but it makes the thing look sloppy. You're looking at it, you're like, I'm not sure what it is, but see, look at that. That brush is just too spread out. I don't know, this brush is just driving me nuts. It's probably a good brush I should probably put this in a special spot that's like, this is for laying down stuff in bulk. That's all it's for. There's no precisioning with this. I have committed to this, by the way. I'm going to do it all the way across. We'll just see what the contrast does. You know, I'm giving this the go ahead to make its effect. Gotta be careful. I keep moving the model, and I'm really getting close to touching my brush on something I don't want it to touch on. I think I'm getting the brush out of the way, but then it's like, oops, I'm touching something I shouldn't be. Guess we're gonna find out how this works on this area. And I actually am okay with it touching all of that, because that needs to get defined as well, so we'll just get it on the entire thing, letting this contrast paint do its thing, and then I will probably have to go over stuff, and that's when I'll be doing the final touch-ups, cleanups, highlights. Highlights are going to be where I start pulling back anything that I felt like maybe I went a little heavy on like maybe the contrast was too much or something. But the highlights, I'll pull the light colors in, and but I'm trying to get this to pop some of those muscles. This character's got a lot of muscly zones. And a lot of definition. So if I want that to pop, I'm going to have to get some kind of contrast in there, because the wash will help a lot with that. The thing is about contrast paint, you got to be generous with them, right? If you're not generous, it won't flow, and if it don't flow, it's not going to do what it's designed to do. And also, if I don't put generous and a thin generous coat where the stuff can flow a little bit, it's not going to allow the red to come back through, because it'll be too thick. I'm trying to get that. Should probably make sure I paint the nose black. All these characters with animal faces, they need a black nose. I don't know, just so says me. Make it a white nose. That'd be weird, huh? You'd be like, what the heck you got on your nose, man? You got some stuff on your nose there. Like, what are you talking about? My nose is white. What do you mean you got a white nose? What dog has a white nose? Yes, a Knoll is a dog. Like, I don't. They're a weird dog. They're a standy-uppy dog. But I think they're a dog. Kind of going fast, mostly because I want to make sure I get everything, and I only want to do one layer. And if I go slow, then it starts to dry, and I'm like, oh, did I get that spot? I don't want to do multiple layers. Mostly because at this point, it's like everything needs to be got once, because I don't, like I said, I'm not trying to get rid of all the red. I want the red to be able to pop back through, and if I keep putting coats on, it's going to eventually just turn brown, fully 100% brown, and I don't want that. I think I might already be double coating here. I gotta be careful. There are parts I can see that are pretty light, even from its original color. The nice thing about a wash too, like it fills in those little tiny spots that never got enough color to begin with. It's like it puts the little corners and shadowed areas that just didn't get the love they needed. The original go through. Look, I've used up all that wash I got. Okay, the legs are done. Well, okay, not true. I need another drop. Another drop of Desolate Brown. Give myself 2 drops just because. No point in going short. I don't plan to do it the whole thing a lot more. And again, I'm planning to come back around with other color. Start bringing that red back, the highlight back. Hopefully, we'll see how that pops out when I'm it's like I can't even target this brush. It's just too. It's too far gone, man. This brush is just. It's more for slopping stuff on. That's it. It used to be my favorite brush. I used it for so long. Now I can't seem to get myself to put it down for a long enough period of time. It's like, time to move on, Ken. This brush is no longer serving its purpose. It's no longer a precision painter. And each time I use it, it's all the more proving that point. I can't even look at it. So spread out right now. I can't even. Can't even get it into this area here. That's pretty wide. Oh yeah, forgot to do his leg in the top leg over here, which is going to be fun. In fact, I don't even think I can use this brush. It's way too precision area, even for a wash. So I got to try to get it in there without getting it all over the surrounding zone. And it's going to take a little bit more fancy. It's got to be enough brush to actually penetrate this area, and then it's got to be and hold enough fluid. There we go. Okay. Alrighty, I think I may have actually gotten everything. Exception of this hand. And its accompanying arm. So I'm going to probably have to go back over. You know what I didn't do? Is I haven't painted the strap on here either. The strap on this, which should probably just be the same leather I put on everything else, but I just didn't do it because I missed it. Let's go ahead. This is the color that's going to fill its gaps anyway, so we'll just put it on there. Then I'll go back over it with the other brown on the areas I want and use them as a highlight. Alrighty, I think I have probably got everything. Alright, I think he's actually starting to look pretty good. Definitely like the where he's going here. Got to put some teeth on his eyes, and definitely the next step is highlights. Start pulling out the, making all the little colors pop a little bit that are separate, and finishing up those little side bits. Hold on, I gotta check something. I think these things are, I don't know, giving me a pimple on my nose or something. I don't know what it's doing. Hopefully my tags are right. I think I updated them accordingly. All right, so let's see. Where was I? Let's put some. Let's start. All right, let's go back to my. Let's go back to my regular brown here. Not wash. This is just my. This is the one that's. I'm just gonna start putting on. In the areas I want to pop, just get a little bit more separation in color. That's what this is doing. So now that we've got our wash down, got to start doing what it takes to make things pop out. This is a time-consuming thing, I tell you. It's not like. Now, there's always a, what do you call it, table ready? I've never been a fan of the term table ready, because to me it's like saying, and it probably is exactly that. It's like saying the lazy way, the shortcut way. I'm not a fan of table ready, but don't get me wrong. There's a difference between contest. All right. If you are a top flight painter, there's a huge gap between table ready and contest ready. To me, everything I paint is contest ready. Okay, not totally true. There are things I take slightly more accelerated approach to, but ultimately, I don't like to stop until I feel like I can't do anything else. I'll look at the mini and go, yeah, I don't know what else to do. That to me is done. And it's because, and that's probably, at some point, the theory is, you get good enough at painting where there's always something else to do. There's always some extra step of improvement you can make to the mini. Right? So, if you're, you have to say, at some point, yeah, I got to say, I could stop. I could do this, and I could do that, and I can make them better. For me, there is a point where I'll look at it and go, I don't know what else to do. It's like, he's got everything I want. He's got highlights, he's got all this. And then I see people online, I'll go, oh, you know what, I should probably do that on my next guy, or whatever. I'll think of trying to do new things, but then, I forget. And then I don't remember what it was. The biggest thing I need to learn is the improvements in because there is a state of painting where you just kind of like there's more to it. Or you could just see stuff, and I don't. And it's like I'll watch somebody online paint, and I'm going, oh wow, that's cool. I should try that. And it shouldn't be that hard. And I'm looking, yeah, I can do that. That's nothing. But then I don't think about it, and then I forget. And then the time goes on, and it's like I have to see someone else do it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I said I was gonna do that next time I paint. I didn't. Oh, this guy's got. Oh. Oh wow. Oh, he's got 2 rings in his ear. I didn't even see those. I thought they were just hair, but now as I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, he's got 2 rings. I should probably paint those. Now, as I'm using this to try to bring my original color to the surface a little bit again, without covering it completely, because I don't want to get rid of all my highlights or all my shading. I probably still have to go through it with a lighter color even to really pull the color up. So I played a long time ago. I played a game called Twilight Imperium. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's a board game. It takes all day to play, and I always thought that's kind of a cool game. I enjoyed it. It's definitely a game. When I say all day, I mean like you start at 10 a.m. and you're done 10 p.m. I mean it's a 12 plus hour game sometimes. It could be maybe 10 if you're a bunch of experts, but I don't think it's not a game that a lot of people I think become experts in because it is so long. You only play it enough times to maybe be familiar with it the second or third time you play it, right? Because you're just not playing that often. It's a long game, but it's fun, and you really think about it. It's kind of funny that it's actually enjoyable because there's only like 6 rounds. You play like 6 rounds in 10 hours. You know, setting up takes an hour and a half to 2 hours probably. And then after that, you're just, you're playing, and I don't even know that it's necessarily got a lot of. I mean, there's downtime, but it's like it's weird. It's just one of those games that you're like. And the reason I brought it up is because we're talking about playing it again. And I'm like, yeah, that's going to be fun. And so I just brought it up because we were talking about it yesterday. No particularly good reason for bringing it up. I just brought it up. Something to do. I was just curious if anybody else has played that game. It's pretty fun. Some might say, why don't you play more video games? Because I do video games on my thing. It's because I feel like it's less productive. I know. I mean, it is, right? You don't actually finish it. I mean, there's nothing you do on a video game has a life after the video game's played, right? It's like, here, I paint this guy. He's going to be with me forever. I mean, I will have this go out, not forever, but I imagine he'd be around for a long time, and I'll be able to enjoy it, and I'll be like, yeah, I put a lot of hours in that, but it's with me. I mean, I still can look back on it. It's like the video game, you remember you put a lot of hours in it, but you can't show it to me. Hey, check out this thing I did, and it took me 100 hours to do. This only takes me 10, 15, 20 hours. And yeah, I can show it off to people, and then they can go ooh and ah, maybe. Or they'll be going ew, ugh, whatever. But there's still some kind of response they can give to it. You can share it with others. You only share video gameplay with others while you're doing it if you're streaming. And even then, it's just an enjoyable thing, relaxing thing to do. But so is this. Painting is enjoyable. It's really relaxing. Probably not as entertaining to watch, though. I'll give you that. I mean, really. Unless you just like watching people paint. But it's like they say, watch paint dry. It's not exactly funnest thing. All right, so I'm gonna do something a little. Where are you going, man? It's like, I'm out here. Time to go kill something. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take. I need my black. Black and brown. How about black and brown? It's a dark, dark, dark black, but a dark, dark, dark brown. I want to put it on a rope. That might work. Here's pure black. I have a rope I want to color, and I don't know what color to color it without making it exactly the same leather brown I did on. So somebody's using a rope, and they're using leather. How often are those the same color? I mean, really, they're never the same color. And ropes are not made of the same stuff, right? This little bit here is a distraction. Don't. I'm not even using this color. This is just a distraction. It's got a primer top but no color on the top. This is desolate brown. It's kind of a very flat matte brown. It had a primer top, but I just thought, you know what? I'm gonna paint it. So, but what colors are ropes? Ropes can be black. They can be white-ish. They're often some kind of a brown or tan, though. Oh, look at that. That's a big bubble. What the heck? I think I literally got a bubble. Right. And I kind of thought about using like a contrast paint. Maybe that's better. But I'm thinking actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it with a brown. And I'm going to go over it with like a contrast paint brown too. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to make this brown. It's only one little rope. You can't see it much. But it needs to be not the color it is now. Ooh, that was weird. Somehow managed to not. It slipped. Literally let the thing slip out of my hand, but I managed to not touch anything with the brush. Don't know how I did that. Lucky, I guess. Huh. I found another piece of bone that I haven't covered. I somehow only did the bottom half of a bone here. To be honest, I'm pretty impressed by the detail on this figure. I mean, I don't think that even has to do with the company that I got it from. It's just a well-designed figure. Because the company that you get these things from, you know, all they do is buy the STLs and print them out on their 3D printers. I mean, it's probably a good little business get a nice printer, buy some cool STLs, and sell them. And I think that's a great plan. I'd say get a nice printer. Probably takes forever to make enough money unless you put enough STLs, but you got to invest in the STLs and that stuff. But it's a good way to at least get a side business going. I'm thinking I might do that. I really want to get a nice 3D printer. I think to really do it though, you need probably at least 2, right? So you can get a couple going at once. Because even if you're printing all the time. But you got to put the time and effort into cleanup, right? So you're going to print those things. Then when it's done, you're going to take the crap off of it, and you're going to send them a quality mold. Because I think people take shortcuts. They're more concerned about the quality. Or not the quality, but the quantity, not the quality. They should be more concerned about the quality. Like I said, there's a couple people online, Master Minis being probably the best I've seen so far, that they really put effort into their quality. And it's the kind of thing that makes me say, like when I go to Etsy and look up a mini I want, first I go like, does Master Minis have the one I want? Because they have a good selection, but it's unfortunately not the biggest. The biggest selection, don't go to them. Well, okay. One of the biggest selections I saw was this place called 526 Minis. Don't buy from them. I mean, okay. I don't recommend them. They're cheaper. At least they used to be. I don't know, but they do not make a high effort for quality of print. They print them pretty fast. They're typically pretty flawed. If their customer service is mediocre at best. Well, let's just put it this way: I had an issue with mine, and they didn't do it. I told them about it. They go, yeah. I mean, they didn't say anything. They didn't even offer anything. Everybody else says, yeah, I'll replace that, And they just replace it. Most places will just replace a mini if it's got flaws. They'll reprint it for you and ship it to you. These guys, nope, they don't even it's like, yeah, it happens. It's like, yeah, it happened. Are you going to do anything about it? And they're like, yeah, that happens. No, they didn't. Like I said, they didn't say anything. They basically just did not reply to me. So it's not the same as giving me snarty remarks. So don't get me wrong. They didn't give me snarty remarks. Snarty remarks is we don't care, right? They just pretend like it didn't happen. They just ignore you and pretend like, oh, yeah, I didn't see that. Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't see your. Because this way, if it's ever brought up, they can just say. And here's a problem with a rounded head. How do you get behind a rounded head? At some point I got to go through here and start putting some dark eyeballs in these skeleton heads, because it will look better when I get some dark eyeballs in there, or eye holes. Let's put it. They're not. There's no eyeballs on these guys. No, I'm not really putting a ton of, like I said, these are two different kinds of skulls. These are actual skulls attached to him at the bottom. And then there's decorative skulls, which are on his armor, which are not actual skulls. I don't, so says me. I mean, I'm looking at it and going, yeah, that's not an actual skull. That's an armor skull. It's a decorative skull. And it's made of metal. So says me. It's made of metal and painted. Versus made of skull and not need to be painted. And originally I painted all these skulls to be the same, what do you call it, same metallic-ish color. But I decided that the skull ones, the actual skulls, didn't need to be painted in the same way. I don't know how these are held on. I don't know. This rope goes down. It looks like it's trying to hold the head, but I'm like, how's it holding the head? How are these heads actually attached to this rope? I mean, I got a rope going down. It looks like maybe it's coming up underneath the skull. Like there must be a hole in the skull that's big enough to hold the rope. That's all I can figure. Because it doesn't make, visually doesn't make any sense. Unless it's going through the skull. Like they actually punched a hole in the skull. Which I guess you kind of have to, right? It's not just going underneath the skull or anything. And as I look more and more at different parts, I'm like, oh, it's not even part of the skull, or that's not part of the. I'm looking at it going, oh, that's a ring or something, you know. And that just comes from staring at a figure enough. You eventually go, oh, there's something else there. Like this thing, there's a ring between the jaw and this other skull. You probably don't have to show all the details, but hey, why not? If you've got the inkling, do it all, man. You don't have to. Nobody's going to notice it. But if you do it, they might notice that you did do it. They won't notice that you didn't do it, but they might notice you did. And then it just shows the item to have more detail, right? If you like the detail an item has, don't lose it. Use it. Let everybody else see that detail that you saw. That doesn't mean make everything have a different color. You can use the same color over and over, like I'm using the same Vallejo color shifting color. On the rings that I discover. I consider those rings to be like Like he's got an earring on here, so I'm going to go ahead and paint that. He's got two of them. Which I just discovered from staring at his... You know, most people wouldn't even notice these were here unless they're painted, right? Because they're so small, but once you paint them, they stand out, and they're like, oh yeah, he's got earrings. Keep in mind, there's no earring on the other ear. Or at least I didn't see one. I don't think there is anyway. Oh, nope, I'm wrong. There is one ring. One ring on that ear. It's the one ring. That means it's all the more likely it's a girl. Because isn't it... Well, no, I guess nowadays I can't even tell by earrings. Because guys wear earrings on both ears now. It used to be like, if you wear it on one ear, you're on a specific ear. It's like, was it left ear? It was a gay thing. And if it's on the other ear, then it's just a fashion thing. I don't know. And then it's just now, I don't know. People wear them wherever. I don't know if there's still a rule as to where a guy can wear a ring or... And then I guess some guys wear them on both ears, and now I don't know that it means anything. You just wear them because they wear them because it's a fashion thing. So I don't know if there's any meaning in earrings anymore. It used to be, if you wear them on both ears, definitely, you were usually a female. Guys didn't wear them on both ears. But again, all that has gone out the window. People can wear whatever, whenever they want, and you don't know. Doesn't tell you nothing. It is more common, though, I think, that it's a female. Most commonly, females wear earrings on both ears. Yeah, then he's got a buckle. I got to do the buckle. I'm going to do the buckle without the silver on it, though. Well, okay, maybe it is a silver thing, but... No, yeah, all right, fine. I have two tones of silver, and when you do it on a dark color, this Vallejo color actually does a pretty good job. It just gives it more of a violet look. When you add the silver, it's less violet. Not violent, more violet. All right, so I think that's pretty good. Getting down to, I'm doing all the nitty gritty stuff, the little things that I just either didn't see, whatever. I still haven't painted a couple of small sections. One of which is that skull on his skull belt buckle. Okay. He's got a skull belt buckle, and the only thing is, it is that's a fake one. I don't think it's a real skull. Maybe it is. I'm painting it like a fake one, like one of these fake ones on top. Now, with this, I made a special color. I mixed it with bone. I took the same Vallejo color shifter color here, and I mixed it with my bone color, and that's all I did. Just to give it a sparkly, shiny, but yet the shifty purple in it. And it worked out pretty good. I'm going to shake it up a little bit more. Hey, TDL. My best color blending? You mean combination of colors? Thanks, man. Oops. I didn't actually put the I didn't put the bottle in. So what have you been up to, man? I haven't seen you in a while. You've been busy. Yeah, I'm going to be doing some stuff on the fur soon enough. I just put some brown over it. It was brick red, and it's still kind of brick red because it was a contrast paint, so it blended it away. But I got to do his eyes and his teeth, and then I'm going to put highlights on his fur to kind of make it pop a little bit more. But I haven't gotten to that right now. I'm just trying to get all those little spaces and bits that I'm cleaning up stuff, really. That's what I'm doing at the moment. This is my shiny bone color, which is a combination of my color shifter and my skeleton bone. And its whole thing is just to give me that fake but yet metal appearance of the metal parts that are bone. See, like this, I considered a fake bone, so I got to put the sparkly in it. I don't got to, but that's what I'm doing. And then and it just makes it more metallic-y looking. It's the same bone color with a little bit of the same. It's basically supposed to look like this metal with this bone color in it. So he's getting that. So he's painting it to look like it's bone, but it's metallic. Because this here, you can even see it's got rivets in it, and it just doesn't, it's not supposed to me, it's not meant to be an actual skull. It just has the appearance of it. I'm being a little bit more picky about it too. I'm not just slopping this one on now. I'm actually putting it to look more, I don't know, more intentional. Or I just slopped it on before because I wanted to just color the bone. Oh, whack my head. What has been, how's your work been going, man? You at one point you were saying you weren't thrilled with your job. I don't know, have you moved on? And then you had like long vacation for a while there, and what's the latest? Teeth things probably should be more teethy looking. All right, so let's see. How's this skull look? These skulls look pretty good. I mean, they're kind of where I want them. They do need a little bit more contrast. Like I said, I'm going to go over that, put some contrast in the skulls later. But I just want to make sure they're covered the way I want them to. That they have their sparkly effect. There you go. Just gotta try to make everything look like a symmetrical self. All right, let's go ahead and get these last bits covered, which is the bone on his the horns, and maybe the horns should get. I'm trying to decide if I want to make them slightly different colored or if I just want to go with the same colors. Again, too many colors can be problematic, so I'm trying to avoid too many colors. So maybe let's just start with what I want to put on everything else for the wash color. Let's go get my, I'm going to do something a little unusual again. Let's get my wash color of choice, which is going to be this bone. Where'd it go? It's a contrast paint, but it'll be good for filling in the details, if I can find it. Is this it? Nope. Game color. It's not out here. Okay, so, oh, here it is, pallid bone. I think that's the one I want. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to put pallid bone in. But again, I'm going to mix this in with the same, well, for the metal parts, I'm going to mix this pallid bone with the color shifter color. And then I'm just going to use it straight up on the regular bone, on the skulls that are actual bones. I don't know what I was going to do. I'm just playing, you know. It's all about seeing what you can do. This is going to be straight up. It's actually, you know what? I don't think I will go straight up. It's a very reddish color, and I think I may actually put just a drop of regular skeleton bone in it, just to make sure it's not going to be too much of a variation. This is an air color, so it's pretty thin. So let's put one drop, just enough to not make it quite as red. I don't want to overdo my... This is still going to be a contrast application, so it's got to stay pretty thin, but let's get it to where I want it. All right, I think yeah, that's probably good. Just wanted to provide a contrast effect without over diluting my base color. Okay. So let's do this. I'm not doing the full-on slop-on, as they say, or as they say, as I say, as I call it, because I don't know. I'm always apprehensive of the full-on slop-on because it sometimes hides too much. It just overdoes the coloring. Don't want it to go where it's not supposed to. I might have went a bit much on that one. So this is going to be an applied contrast, not a washed contrast. I don't have a lot of actual bones on here, except for these the thin little ones here and the skulls that he has hanging off of him, based on my design, based on my visualization of this thing. So, but I will put the other one on, but I'm going to mix that one with the reflective color because I want that color to come through. I want the sparkly, that it's metal, coming through on those. So it's going to be the same basic thing. It's just instead of being, it'll just have a little bit of little metallic in it. Still feel like I may have to clean up these bones a little bit because I may have to clean them up because I think I'm still getting it in places I don't want it. It's bleeding off in other places. All right, so I think that's pretty much all I need to do with these. Oh, there's another one on the back. I didn't know there was two of them back here. I continue to try to. I still got to put some hole. I want to make the holes on the eyes a little bit more pronounced. So I'll be putting some black or really dark. I don't know if black's the right answer. Maybe some fleshly or even a brown color in there. Oops! Did I touch the tail? Dang it! I originally painted this with my reflective, sparkly paint, but then I decided these are actual skulls, and they didn't need to be. There shouldn't be any sparklies in it. So now I'm making sure I get rid of all that. So I got a few spots that have more metallic look. Trying to eliminate that. Yeah, there you go. I think he's looking pretty good. I'm going to do a little bit more around the edges of the little, these things here. The little, I don't know what they call them. Decorative bone belt. Can't imagine there's any functional purpose in these, as he pulls them out and stabs people with them. Don't know what he would do with them. But I give him a quick coat of this stuff. Not that easy to get some of these things because his arm is like right in the path. Now, yes, I could have painted the weapon last. A lot of people say, you should paint the weapon last. Don't glue it on until you're done. It's like, I just assemble the guy, man. It's too hard to keep track of parts when you start keeping them away. Unless it's just something that's really hard to paint around. I generally don't. Now, I do have a spot where I put parts, but I don't like doing that. It's just too much of a pain in the butt to separate parts like that. So my glasses keep sliding down my nose, and I'm tired of moving them up, so I'm just trying to deal with it, letting it stay there, which is causing me some amount of difficulty because it's throwing off my depth perception ever so slightly. I mean, if I get in the right position, I can fix it, but I can adjust, but still. All right, so yeah, he's coming together. I still got to do those horns on his belt. I keep putting them off because I haven't gotten to that. All right, so let's go ahead and get that black I was going to do earlier. Let's do a grim black. Let's use my Grim Black, which Gravelord Gray. No, not Gravelord Gray. Grim Black. Grim Black, and I'm gonna mix that with a touch of the flesh bone color too. This is a wash, so it might not. Maybe I don't need to do that. Let's just poke it in the eyes. We'll just poke it in the eyes and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen, right? It's a wash. It's a contrast paint. Oh, what the heck? How'd I do that? Weird. What's this long little string there? Oh, check that out. What the heck is that? That's weird. This is a... I don't need much. I'm just going to do a tiny little bit there. And let's go ahead and put that in the eyes of these skulls. The actual skulls. See what it does. Doesn't have to be totally black. I just want it to be significantly shadowed. Just enough. A slight separation here in the jaw. Giving these mouths a little bit of evil dark. There you go. The skulls look pretty good there. Yeah. All right. So now I gotta do something with the. I'm gonna do a similar thing, except this time instead of using the. I was gonna just go with the black there, but you know what? Maybe. All right, let's just see what happens. Actually, you know what? I'm going back and forth on my decisions here. Let's just mix a little bit of this with my Vallejo color shifter. Just because I don't know how dark I want this to get. There's no eyes here, but the idea is to try to get this so that it just makes these look shadowed, a little bit more ominous. while not losing the actual color. So I'm just getting this shading up and underneath there. See if I just go really deep with the dark spot. Kind of layered up. This is, like I said, a pretty thin paint. Most contrast paints are pretty thin, so they don't, or even washes for that matter. So just providing a little depth to these eyes, you know. So they look, I don't know, a little bit more haunting. Is that the word I'm looking for? Scary? Big difference between the color shifter and this black, but it does seem to be doing what I want it to. Thing is, I mean, I may be going too light on the quantities. It's making me try to stretch the paint farther than I think it really wants to stretch. Yep, that works. Okay, so I remember now, I was going to use this color down here, and I was also going to blend it with my color shifter a little bit. Because right now it is bone. It is my pallid bone. But I want to use it with, instead of using it with just the skeleton bone, I'm going to mix it with the color shifter. And I have a color shifter blend that uses the paladin bone. But the point here is to allow me to have that same effect, but yet again get the metallic color shifter in there. Just need another drop of color shifter. I like this the color shifter, but I don't want to be overwhelmed by the paladin bone in this case. Just making sure, because it provides the metallic appearance that these metal skulls have. I don't want it to be completely washed out. All right, so this is where I'm going to try to get the teeth and the other parts to kind of pop with it. Just enough to, I don't know, make them look like they're separate from the rest of the. I'm not separate, but I don't know. So they stand out. They have that teeth viciousness going. A little bit of red that comes with the paladin bone. Well, hopefully pulling over some of the metallic that comes with the color shifter. I don't know how much of the metallic is actually coming over, but it's got to be more than it was, right? It's got to be more than not having the metallic in it, but it's not a very potent look. Right now, it looked more potent when I first did it, but because of the blendings I'm doing are kind of starting to pull a lot of that away from it. I know I'm talking quiet. It's my concentration chat volume. It's my concentration volume. I tend to start when I'm focusing. I start talking quiet. It's like, oh yeah, it's just almost there. Don't pay attention to me. But no, but wait, that's not the point. You're supposed to. Yeah, let's make that. Those teeth look pretty good. Gotta do it on this guy too. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know that my color shifter effect is doing much. In other words, I don't think there's much metallic coming through. Could have just added my medium, but I wanted to bring with it the color that was actually being used throughout, which is what the metallic is. So I'm using the same color so that anything that translates, it just has that hue, that underlying same matching color. It is definitely making a difference, though, in how the teeth appear. They're much more defined, which is the goal here. Whether or not they're metallic-y looking or not, I mean, that might not be, but definitely doing what I wanted to do as far as creating some definition for the teeth. Let's put a little bit around the nose here too. I think I've got an area here that's really not very well covered by the bone itself. This might pick up some of that. I think we're almost good with the skeleton bones. They're looking pretty good. In my opinion, anyway. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to see that I had sparkly in these bones. Even though I did add it in pretty much every phase, I don't know that they look any more metallic than anything else. They kind of blended away. This color shifter is like it's easily overpowered, I guess. And as such, it does tend to make it look a little less obvious. Now, if I really wanted to be metallic, I could actually do, I could just take the medium that I have, which is basically a white medium, and just give it some highlights, which I might do. Give that sparkle effect, just at the tips and the edges. Let's go ahead and put this in the seams a little bit. This too. Just giving it that, filling those seams just slightly with my darker color here. Just adding a little bit of contrast. What I didn't really do is touch my nose and other sockets. I didn't really touch the other nose and sockets with the darker colors. So I don't know if I'm going to get the full effect I'm looking for here, but he's definitely got a fair amount of bone on him, bone parts. All right, so I'm actually going to do, I pick my color shifter here. I'm going to find a pure spot for it. Let's see what it does. I'm just going to take that. Let's see. I should do this with just a medium, but I actually want this color to be in there. So I'm just going to see what happens if I just apply a tad amount to like the high points. I don't know if it's going to be shinier or not, but yeah, all right, it does. Just kind of trimming the edges, the high points, like I said, and trying to just give that feel of the metallic fact that these are in fact metal skulls. And just doing the edges enough. Just pulling it out of the edges enough that the things that I should actually use silver for this one. This one is just, these are the rivets. There's like the little bolts or whatever holding it. It's funny, you only see it on that skull. There's no rivets on any other part. I don't know how they're being held on in other parts of the armor, but those ones have it. So, then we'll go back to just my pure probably be a little bit more generous with this, so I wasn't afraid of the potential for it going a little over the top, because it can be. I don't want to cover my color altogether. Color shifters are weird. They're cool, but they're also weird. they don't necessarily behave exactly like you'd expect. They're not. Would I say they're consistent? They're consistently inconsistent. That's the whole thing about them. They're color shifters. As in, their objective is to add a metallic look that slightly changes depending on the amount of light that's hitting it. And so I'm putting it on with the fear that it might change things slightly. So I don't want to be too generous. And I'm not putting it on the teeth, even though the teeth had some amount in the blend. I don't want it on the teeth. All right. You put this kind of thing on, and then you're like, but does it do anything? Is anybody going to even notice it? I don't know. But I do know that I am out of black, and I need to do, I don't think I did the eye sockets of this thing down here. Yep, but I'm totally out. I don't know if it's even got enough to make this drop. I'm going to need another drip drop of my Grim Black, because probably should have put some stuff in my nose sockets. Provided a little contrast there. The nose sockets on these skeleton skulls. I'll do the same on these. I'm just going to go pure black on the nose of these guys, but they're super tiny, so I don't know how much I can actually get on. Some of them I can't even tell where the nose socket is. And these ones on the metal, I'm not doing them pure black. I'm just hitting them. Hitting them with my blended color. There's such a small spot. I'm just trying to make sure they get a little bit of call out. Yep. All right. So the only thing I haven't actually painted at all are the eyes, the teeth, and the horns on this belt buckle. And I said I was going to do it basically in the basic color of this, so let's do it. Which I'm going to do the metal version. The one I think I put metal version in, because really I can't really tell that it's doing anything. But I'm going to grab a little bit of my pure, go back over here, put a little bit more in there, and we'll paint these horns. Oh yeah, there's no color in this. There's no color in it. There's not enough pigment. It's too dark. So I got to go over it with some white first. This guy does get to have, he does have a... All right, so we're doing a campaign right now. I'm the DM. And if I haven't heard me talking about it before, the party is, they don't fight everything. And partly I think that's, I mean, they are kind of a fighty bunch, but they're pretty good at avoiding guys that look like they could be a bit more than they're expecting. And they were kind of outmatched, but recently they've leveled up a lot. But some of these guys that they've avoided, I think I'm going to have them run into them, fight them again. Now this is, I don't think this guy was one of them, but he's definitely on the docket for guys I want the party to get the enjoyment of fighting. The joy of winning, losing, I don't know. I'm not a party killer. I don't like to kill the party. I've never TPK'd. It's all about, I've let them think that was some really close calls. So far, they've managed to come out on top on on all their battles that were close. There have been a couple of bad guys that kind of, retreated or left because, let this be a warning to you. Don't mess with me kind of thing, And then, of course, they get bigger and stronger and they go mess with them anyway, and that's the idea. They go say, yeah, that's that guy didn't want us to mess with him. Let's go mess with him. All right, so what do I want to do with these horns? I'm trying to figure out how I want them to differ. Let's shade them with a little bit more black. Let's just make them darker. I want them to stand out as horns, but also not just be generic. Not the color they originally were unpainted. So I'm wondering if as they get closer to the end, I might just have them end up fighting a lot of these guys in a gauntlet formation. So they go through, because a lot of these big bads. The thing is with D&D, as the parties get stronger, a lot of dudes really are no match for the party, and on a one-on-one basis. But they're strong enough to do some damage, right? They live long enough to do some damage, and then the party has to try to, compensate, adjust, fix, repair, whatever it takes, whatever that ultimate goal is. I'm getting hungry. It's almost time for me to go do lunch. I've been painting for a long time. This is actually one of my longest sessions in a really long time, and it's good. I'm glad, because this guy's getting a lot of good attention. Yeah, I think that's good. It's got the horns got a little bit different color going for them. Not black, not brown. It's kind of a fleshly bone looking. But yet different from the rest. Maybe I'll do a highlight black or something on it to give it a little bit more to it. But right now, when you're doing like highlight colors, you gotta be careful, because you gotta make sure things are dry. You don't want anything to overly blend. All right, so he's done. I mean, not done, but he's done with all the stuff, I think, that needs to be painted. That hasn't, that in the color that its goal color is. Now I've been slowly adding highlights as I do these. You know, more and more stuff is getting highlighted. And that's all, you know, it's good because it means I'm getting closer and closer to finished. But not all of it's done. I still got to do highlights on the fur. The fur needs to be called out a little bit more. And I'm going to do that next. I did the contrast to get the fur to slowly pop or to get the muscles to show. And when I do some highlights, that'll show even more. I may even add some more depth. So take a darker color like black and just go really deep and really call out those muscles a little bit more. It's kind of funny if you think about this guy's got like, he's got these little repair parts on his robe, right? It's like, really, the demon lord of the Knolls spends time sewing his clothes. Just get a new one, man. He probably doesn't. He probably has some minion. He says, "Fix this. I don't want to see my cloak tearing. Fix it now or die." And then he kills him anyway. But is that what you did? You just sewed a couple of pieces of leather through it? Ah, you're stupid. I'm killing you. I'll find me a new minion to sew my clothes together. You don't know what you're doing. I could have done that. I mean, I wouldn't, but I could have. All right, so yeah, I got to still call out. I got to definitely put some highlights on his little rings of things around his hair. But hey, I think he's looking good. He's got his skulls are pretty much all finished. His muscles are starting to pop a little bit more. The hair's going to need some contrast, but I got that on there. I'll do a little bit more. And his tongue is not looking very, not looking very bright for sure. It's not getting much contrast off of that. And I think my glasses are officially totally dead. Which is a sign that I need to go eat. That's what it is. It's a sign to go eat. Even the light on my LEDs is dying. I have a backup of those, but I don't have a backup for my headlamp. So I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna go eat lunch. I'm gonna charge stuff up so that everything is functional again. And maybe I'll come back and do some more painting later. Today's a good day. I feel like a good quality. Who knows? Maybe this guy will get done today if I can get back to it. I don't know when I'll be back, but I'll be back because I said so. At some point during the day, I will come back. Let's do a progress photo, shall we? It's barely enough light to do a progress photo, but sure, close enough. Let's oh, you can't even see him. This is my progress photo position. You can't see him at all right there. But let's take the photo. Like I say, the light is pretty poor at the moment. go back here, here, add photo. And stop. 3 hours and 37 minutes. Woohoo! That was a long one. How are we doing? 8 hours spent. You know, that's starting to become a pretty measurable amount. When I spend a lot of time on a particular mini, I'm usually 8 to 10 hours. So that's actually pretty standard fare. So that's not bad. But I'd probably give myself 45 minutes to an hour more on this for those times when I've messed up my time or didn't record. So it's still close. So let's go ahead. Wow, that's so dim I can barely tell it's on. All right, we will plug this guy in. I'm assuming I can find the plug for it. All right, that's it. Thanks for stopping by. If you like this kind of things, please leave comments, follow, subscribe, all that kind of fun stuff, just to let me know that you're out there and that you're enjoying this content. And hey, if there's any questions you think I can answer, feel free to ask. And yeah, check out the X case and the Mage Cage if you just so happen to be interested in that kind of thing. Storage, ultimate storage for your minis. Until next time, you take it easy. Bye.